Hey everybody, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching Tesla Time News.
Episode 163
on Now You Know.
Brought to you, as always, by our wonderful Patreon patrons who make this show possible.
And as Amazon associates, we earn from qualifying purchases. Link down below.
And brought to you by ecoware.us. New designs uploaded every week. So it looks like you have a new... Is this a sweatshirt?
Yeah, it's really cozy.
The things that I really like about these sweatshirts is that they are very soft.
Yeah.
My girlfriend stole mine already because she said that it was so soft.
So head on over to EcoWare, where we carbon offset the manufacturer, shipping, and life cycle of your purchase, and we plant a tree for every order.
So it's carbon negative.
And check this out. We're going to be at Fully Charged Live in Austin, Texas on February 1st and 2nd. Jesse and I will be live on stage with Robert Llewellyn. So if you'd like to get tickets, we've got a discount code right down there in the show notes. It's NYK2019. You'll get a 15% off of the tickets.
See you there.
All right, so there's been Model Y spottings everywhere.
Yes.
First ones were spotted in Vancouver, Washington at the Supercharger there. Now, that is 688 miles from Fremont. How did they get there?
Well, it could indicate that they are doing some long-distance testing. I guess you drive it up the coast and, take it for supercharging. It's funny that they cover it.
You're not going to know. I mean, I guess a lot of people would mistake it for the 3 or an X.
I would personally, if they didn't cover it, I would just walk right by it. I'd be like, Model 3, cool. Because they looked so similar to the Model 3 when we were at the unveiling that I think a lot of people would just miss it entirely. But as soon as you put the cover on it, everyone's like, what kind of car is that? Maybe it's the Model Y. And then it is. And you're like, it is a Model Y.
I wonder if at the factory, they're like, anyone want to take the Model Y for a test drive this weekend?
Up the coast to Vancouver, Washington. Right. Yeah, it sounds like a fun
That'd be a dream job, wouldn't it?
That would be fun.
Then a red Model Y was spotted at Gigafactory 1. Let's remind everyone that the Model Y is supposed to be coming out in the fall of 2020, so it's about a year from today.
And then there were even more Model Y sightings. In California, we saw this midnight silver one, and interesting wheels on this one. And we saw other different wheels on this car carrier that was going across that was spotted near the Fremont factory.
Now, the car carrier one is interesting because it looks like either the chrome isn't deleted on this one or that the chrome has, some tape over part of it.
Yeah, I mean, the handles do have the chrome delete. So I'm guessing that these are fresh out of the factory. They still have tape over the chrome deleted chrome.
Maybe,
trim.
Or maybe they're being sent for crash testing and they don't really care what kind of trim they have on them.
It's a good point. I mean, I think they could be going for crash testing. It could be that the wheels that we see on the car carrier are actually wheels without the wheel covers, the same wheel covers that we saw on the gray one. And so, I mean, that's, again, a nice thing about these new Teslas is that they have this cover, this aerodynamic cover, which gets you better range, but you can pull them off, and then you still have some pretty cool wheels underneath, which is a huge bonus. So if those are the wheels for the Model Y, I'd be pretty excited.
So speaking of crash testing, check out this. Tesla just said, join us in the Tesla Crash Lab for a rare glimpse behind the scenes. The work our engineers do here is one of the reasons why Tesla vehicles are among the safest on the road. Check this out.
I love getting this inside glimpse into what they're working on, at this crash lab. I think it's really cool that they have a crash lab. Obviously, this isn't something that's, new. Crash testing is a pretty old system of making sure that cars are safe. But it is cool the amount of simulation that they're able to show. And then I love the shot where they're actually showing a real crash and a simulated crash, and they flow over each other seamlessly. It gives you an idea of why these are the safest cars in the world.
So Swedish mining manufacturer Epiroc announced that they will be electrifying their entire lineup of mining vehicles over the next 5 years.
Two of the biggest expenses for miners is getting diesel fuel to their vehicles and ventilating the mines. Even though the new electric versions of these trucks cost almost twice as much, these electric mining trucks will help in both of those departments.
Now, but you still need to ventilate the mine so that the workers can breathe, right?
Yes, but you don't need to be sucking out all sorts of diesel fumes, diesel exhaust fumes out of the mine itself, because keep in mind, if you're in an enclosed space, those fumes can't just kind of go out into the air. You need to actually suck them out. So once you get rid of those diesel fumes, you just need to be bringing down a pretty reasonable amount of air for the miners to breathe.
So Green Cab Madison in Wisconsin currently operates a taxi fleet consisting of 40 Toyota Priuses.
They have partnered with Zeroology to go all electric instead of hybrids. They're putting 40 Tesla Model 3s out on the street.
Nice. Amelia Jones at Channel 15 in Madison, Wisconsin covered the story for us, so we'll be sharing more about this in the Patreon bonus stories. The Pennsylvania state legislature is debating whether to add an additional 250 EV tax onto EV owners, and they're doing it right now. The bill was originally going to be a $150 tax, but Republicans decided to add on another $100.
So wait, what? Why? Why are you taxing EVs?
Well, I mean, the logic goes that EVs don't pay a gas tax, which is the normal way that in America we pay for roads and bridges. So, the legislature decided to add on a tax. Now, that can be fair, but Shannon Baker Brandstetter, she's the manager of cars and energy policy for Consumer Reports, says this $250 tax is well above what average new gasoline-powered vehicle owners pay in gas taxes. And keep in mind that in Pennsylvania, even though they use a lot of coal there to power their electricity, an EV is 68% less polluting in Pennsylvania to drive than an ICE car.
Okay, so the Pennsylvania government wants to overtax. I mean, this is more tax than you would be paying.
Yeah.
Just gas tax for a very small, minute minority of drivers on the road. And those drivers specifically pollute much less than regular cars on the road. And yet you want to tax them more. It's almost like you're incentivizing them to quit with their electric and to just go move on to some polluting ICE car.
Yeah, I mean, if you live in Pennsylvania right now, please contact your legislature and tell them how you feel. So, Jesse, another Tesla vandal turns himself in.
Mm-hmm.
Model 3 owner Godwin Leong in Edmonton, Canada, had his car keyed. His Sentry Mode video was seen by over 50,000 people, and now police report that 20-year-old Austin Grabus has come forward and turned himself in after seeing the video online.
He has been charged with 1 count of mischief over the act of vandalism. Grabus said he was frustrated after a car cut him off, and he thought that the Model 3 might have been the same car. He said, "I wasn't thinking, I made a stupid mistake." So after he saw this video of himself keying this car online, he said that he became overcome with disappointment and embarrassment.
And he added that he doesn't have anything against Tesla, and he regretted doing it right away. Now, my thought here is, I think his regret basically came from the fact that he got caught, and not from the fact that he did this horrible deed, because if he did, he could have driven back to the parking lot and apologized.
Right. You don't need to really turn yourself in if you write a note with your insurance on there like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I got so upset." Also, if you think this car cut you off and then you keep driving for 10, 20, 30 minutes, like how long was this car parked in his parking lot?
Wait, I was cut off by a white car. There's a white car.
There it is. Like, really? Yeah. And you're going to take that risk?
Anyway, if someone's keeping count out there, I would love to know. So I think we've had 3 people turn themselves in.
Yeah.
I would love to keep score of how many people we're catching from Tesla SentryCam.
Yeah, I mean, it's just scary that there are so many people keying cars. Again, this is a world that I've never thought was a big deal, that people's cars were getting keyed. It's hard to know if it's just Teslas because people have something against them, or they're just really nice looking cars and people just think, "Oh, key the car." I don't know what the logic is.
I don't either.
At least 7 U.S. coal producers, including Westmoreland Coal Company, Cloud Peak Energy Incorporated, Blackhawk Mining LLC, and Black Jewel LLC, have filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy since October 2018, and more companies could be following.
Yeah, Murray Energy Corporation, the largest private coal company in the U.S., and Foresight Energy LP recently entered what are called forbearance agreements on interest payments to loans, which is basically the start of a restructuring negotiation. It basically means they're probably on the road to Chapter 11 themselves.
So a forbearance is where you know that you can't make your payments on a loan, and you contact you can do this. Doesn't always work.
Right.
It helps if you're a giant corporation.
Right.
You say, "Oh, we can't pay it immediately," and we'll pay you back later.
Or
even
smaller
though-
payments or
even though
whatever,
it was
right.
already a loan, right?
Right. So this is a quote here from Carla Kimry. She is a former VP at CloudPeak, which had roughly 1,200 employees when it filed for bankruptcy in May. She said, "I think that a lot of the management and boards of the coal mining companies were unwilling to admit that this was really going to happen." So according to the EIA, coal-based electricity powered 48% of the U.S. power grid in 2008. Guess how much it powers today?
40 went down 8%, maybe.
25% is powered by coal this year, and next year it's expected to be only 22% that's powered by coal. So it has dropped a lot.
And it's going to continue to drop because coal is no longer the cheapest form of energy.
Exactly.
This just makes sense in terms of just economics, right? You have something where you don't need to mine it out of the ground. You just, build a big pole and you put a big fan at the top of it, or you build a big panel that the sun hits it and turns it into electricity, and the sun comes out every day. So boom, you're all set. That's why coal is going out of business, is because it doesn't make any more sense.
Exactly. So here's a story about what causes whisker growth.
It's an old term to call a beard.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm not talking about that kind of whisker. I'm talking about the whiskers or the dendrites that grow in batteries. So whiskers or dendrites are those tiny little rigid tree-like structures that grow inside lithium-ion batteries, and they cause it to degrade by piercing the separator inside the battery and by speeding up the reactions between the electrolyte and the lithium.
A team of scientists led by Chongming Wang at the Department of Energy Pacific Northwest Laboratory have discovered that certain chemicals in the electrolyte can promote the growth of whiskers, or dendrites, in a lithium-ion battery.
Yeah, the team found that dendrites start growing in the SEI, or the solid electrolyte interface, which is a film where the solid lithium surface of the anode meets the liquid electrolyte. And maybe even more importantly, they found that ethylene carbonate is the culprit that starts the whole process happening.
They experimented by adding more ethylene carbonate and found that the more they added, the faster the dendrites grew. Here is a video of a dendrite growing.
So you may be asking, why not just remove the ethylene carbonate altogether?
Well, it's a solvent that's added to the electrolyte in order to enhance battery performance. It's not clear if Maxwell Technologies' dry battery manufacturing eliminates this particular solvent in their manufacturing, which means that, maybe their batteries don't have it. We're not sure.
What I think is cool is that we figured it out. For the longest time, people were like, well, we just don't know what causes it. And now, as more and more people want to find the answer, we found the answer. So you remember that Jesse and I went to Sweden and checked out the Unity 1 car. And now the exciting thing is they have just released the specs and the price for it.
The starting price is £15,100, including the UK VAT and UK's incentive. So it's a pretty nice starting price.
Yeah, and I think, we've been to London a bunch of times now, and I think it would be a perfect London car.
Right, nice and tiny. Right? It's good for moving one to, I think you could fit 3 people in there. And it looks like it has a lot of cargo space if you're not moving any people.
Yeah, you brought up an interesting point. It's an interesting layout inside the car. One of the only ones that I've seen that has one driver up front and 2 seats in the back. If you want to get the 22 kilowatt hour battery pack, that's 3,000 pounds more. And if you want to get fast charging, that's 3,000 pounds more. So we went to the configurator and just kind of pimped out the car. So fully loaded, it's 23,845 pounds, and that includes the VAT and the UK subsidy. So check out their website and their configurator if you're interested. And if you are interested in buying the car, you'll need to put down a 50% upfront payment.
And that's for the first initial cars. So if you want to buy one soon, you're probably going to have to do that.
Yeah, and the car is due out mid-2020 in Sweden and the UK.
So I think that this is a really exciting option in terms of electrical mobility. Not everybody needs a Model 3.
Right.
I know it's kind of funny. Everyone could use a Model 3. It fits most function. It does long distance, it does short distance, it's efficient, it's a pretty decent size for carrying lots of people. I think that the Unity is a more specific car for a more specific person, a city dweller, right? It doesn't have a huge top speed, the acceleration isn't wild, it doesn't have a huge range. It's an excellent city car, right? Nice and small. The turning radius is 7 meters.
I know.
So, if you're driving down a city street and you're like, oh, I'm going the wrong way, you just whip that thing around.
It has an electrochromatic panoramic roof, which is, so basically you can electrically control how dim the roof gets, which is pretty cool.
I'm really excited about that. I wish my Model 3 had that.
And Since we've been to London and we don't really want to ride on the tube anymore because we found out how polluted it is, I can see that I might want a car like this to get around the city, because the city now has a ULEZ, which is an ultra-low emission zone where you have to pay a pretty hefty tax to be able to drive your car there. This, of course, being electric, would mean you wouldn't have to pay that tax.
Right.
Now, the only thing missing, I guess I'm a little disappointed, but maybe it's coming down the road, was we had heard early on that one of their innovations was going to be a removable battery, which is like the size of a briefcase that you could bring to work or home and give yourself, I think it was something like 15 kilometers more range, so that you could kind of get yourself to a charging station if you needed to.
Overall, I don't think it's going to be all that necessary. I mean, let's be honest, this is probably going to be a commuter car or something that's just going to get you around the city. It's going to charge up really quick because it's got a tiny battery, especially if you go with a 12 kilowatt hour version. That's about 2 hours charging at a standard level 2 charger.
True.
And if you do, and if you went for the fast charging station, I think you'd only need to be there like 5 minutes.
Right.
So I think that you don't really need that carry out battery. I think that was something that sounds good, but I think in practice, I mean, I have a Leaf which has a similar-ish range, and yeah, you just drive it from your house to work, and charging it with a regular, I mean, and in London you have actually 220 volts, so you're going to be charging it way faster from the wall.
Yeah, I guess I just figure that in London, places like that, you may not have the ability to charge at your house. You may not have a garage, but
I suppose, but again, a briefcase battery is not going to be the silver bullet solution to that.
All right, we're sponsored by ClimateXChange, and I'm really excited about this. We've done it every year, and that's because they're raffling off a Tesla, and there's only 4,000 raffle tickets.
Okay, but you say raffle off a Tesla, you still have to pay taxes, and they're probably only give you like the base Model 3, right?
No, that's the exciting part. You can totally pimp out the car because they are giving you up to a value of $195,000. So you could do the top of the line Model X, fully pimped out, ludicrous, whatever you want, and on top of that, they're going to pay the taxes if you win.
So you're saying if you win this raffle, you're going to win a car, and they're going to pay the taxes for it.
Yeah.
So it is a free car.
Free car, yep. The second place prize is $10,000, and the third prize winner will get a cash prize of $5,000.
Okay. So what is this raffle for?
So this raffle goes towards ClimateXChange's mission to pass ambitious, smart change policy to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. What's really important to remember here is that if we are going to get some kind of smart carbon pricing, we are going to need to pass it at one state first, right? We're going to have one state that is just smart enough to do it. Mm-hmm. And then other states are probably going to go, oh, look at Massachusetts. Let's copy them.
Right.
Once you get a few states doing it, you get a snowball effect. You get the whole country to pass some kind of federal legislation. And then once a country has done it, you get other countries to do it. So it all starts somewhere. And that's what ClimateXChange is doing,
right.
Educating people about carbon pricing.
And so all the proceeds of this raffle are going towards the mission to pass this ambitious, smart climate policy to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions.
That's right. Now, the raffle drawing is going to be on Valentine's Day 2020. And unfortunately, this is only open to U.S. residents.
Sorry.
So you know how we were complaining about the Porsche Taycan's prices being so expensive?
Yes. I mean, who has an extra $160,000 lying around?
Well, now Porsche has announced a more affordable base version.
Oh, sweet. So we're talking like, I don't know, like 50,000?
A little higher.
60,000.
A little higher.
$70,000.
$103,800. That's for the smaller battery pack, and then $110,000 for the Performance Battery Plus pack. So let's see what you get.
Okay.
For the base price, you get a 79.2 kilowatt hour pack that gives you 363 kilometers or 225 miles of range. For the Performance Battery Plus, you get the same size battery as you got in the Turbo, which is a 93.4 kilowatt hour pack, but they've limited it to 420 kilowatts of power versus 560 kilowatts for the Turbo version.
And that's the kilowatts that are going to the motor.
Right.
Okay.
So you get a range, though, which is higher. You get a 413 kilometer or 257 mile range, and you still get 270 kilowatts of charging capacity.
The two base versions both get a 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4 seconds, a top speed of 250 kilometers an hour. They are going to arrive in Europe in January of 2020 and the US in late spring 2020.
My question is, how did they get the cost down with the same battery?
Right. I mean, it's a $50,000 difference roughly from the base turbo price to the Performance Plus battery,
right,
which is the mid-tier, lower size. calling it performance, it's hard to wrap your head around. But I think they either went for smaller motors or they went for some kind of different battery chemistry.
Do you think it's possible they software limited it like Tesla does sometimes?
I mean, they could. It doesn't behoove them really because you're just losing profit margin. But if it gets you to sell more cars...
Yeah, but maybe later you talk someone into software unlocking it.
I suppose you could. I mean, I suppose it would improve your 0 to 60 time and the performance. Yeah, it's possible. Again, it's nice that the Taycan now is at a lower price point, but it is still, to me, at a very similar price point. Like, I imagine someone who's ready to ante up $110,000 plus all of the premium features that they want to add, like passenger screen and the leather seats and the, all the things you'd really need if you wanted to have it be a Porsche. I think that you're still going to be looking at $130,000. To me, there's not much of a difference between that and someone who's going to buy a $160,000, $180,000, $200,000 car. I think it's the same, approximate person. It's just whether they're like on a budget or something. Most people aren't going to be like, oh, good, it's only $104,000. I think Now I'm interested.
Tesla's online parts catalog has given us a glimpse into a new track mode package for performance Model 3.
According to the catalog, there is now Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires, new larger front brake pad kits, and a new carbon fiber wheel cap. Now, this is, I'm guessing, based on feedback that we've gotten from people who have been, racing their Tesla Model 3 performances. They've been saying that even the performance brakes on the front weren't big enough, weren't strong enough. Right. They wanted more braking, and so I guess Tesla is obliging. These are the same tires that they used on the Roadster prototype that we saw at the unveiling of the Roadster. It's nice that they're improving the performance package to get you that real track experience for the people who care about it.
Yeah, and also it just stands out a little bit more.
Right, you're like, oh, carbon fiber, it's for the car guys. It's like, those are the carbon fiber wheel covers. Oh, the guys has a performance car.
Now, Tesla has increased the delivery times for U.S. Model 3s from 2 to 3 weeks, now to 6 to 10 weeks for standard range plus and long range all-wheel drive, and 8 to 10 weeks for performance models.
Why?
Because demand is picked up in Europe and Australia, and Tesla is shipping more cars overseas early in this quarter. Now, Tesla plans to resume regular delivery times in December.
Demand is so high that they have to increase delivery times. That's a pretty... It's a good thing.
Yeah, going into the quarter 3 earnings report, which is coming out on Wednesday and which we'll be covering here on Friday and in depth, I mean, a lot of analysts are like, well, that's the end of demand for Tesla, but they're not paying attention because obviously demand is not slipping at all. Mm-hmm. Now, according to the Tesla website, the range of the base Model 3 Standard Range Plus has increased to 250 miles, which is up 10 miles from the 240 miles they had spec'd before, and the price has gone up $500 to $39,490.
The Model 3 Performance has also seen a price increase of $1,000. Now, again, I think this is because of demand. You have people who really want the car.
Exactly.
And supply and demand, people. This is just basic economics. You can increase the price of the car if so many people want it.
Right. And I mean, Tesla will be charging $1,000 more now for the full self-driving software package at the end of October.
So, I mean, and Elon actually told us why this is. He says that now that Tesla version 10 with Smart Summon is out, full self-driving price will increase by $1,000 on November 1st. This is because there is now more functionality in the full self-driving package, which means that it is worth more money now, which means that they can increase the price.
I know that you're using Smart Summon pretty much every possible time you can.
When it's safe. Again, I'm being very vigilant as to where I'm doing it, what kind of parking lot, how busy it is. I'm just trying to be as safe as possible while still blowing people's minds.
And Tesla has now officially launched 20-inch gray performance wheels for the Model 3. And it doesn't look like silver versions are available for Performance Model 3 anymore.
Right. I think that this is to differentiate the performance Model 3s from just your standard run-of-the-mill Model 3s. If you see these gray 20-inch wheels, you'll know that that's a performance Model 3.
And according to Electrek and Chad Mueller, new black wheels have been spotted on Model 3s leaving the factory. So Volvo has unveiled the electric XC40.
So this is a 78 kilowatt hour battery pack for a range of 250 miles. Again, this is based on the WLTP standard, which means that it is not going to be 250 miles. It's going to be less than that.
12% less.
12% less than that. So we're looking at like a 230.
Right.
It'll be a dual motor, 300 kilowatt powertrain, 150 kilowatts electric motor on each axle. It'll have 11 kilowatts of onboard charging and 150 kilowatts of DC fast charging capability.
It'll have 0 to 60 time in 4.7 seconds, which is super respectable, and a top speed of 112 miles an hour or 180 kilometers an hour. And it has a frunk.
And they implemented the frunk really nicely. I have to give Volvo credit here because they basically just copy and pasted the Tesla one, which in my opinion is really great. You have just a big, nice, well-lined frunk with nothing around it. There's no junk. You just have the cap for the windshield wiper fluid. I think that's really smart.
Yep, and they have an infotainment system powered by Google's Android. Now, the question I have is when and how much?
We don't know, and we don't know. So
right.
those two very important questions, when I can buy it and how much it'll cost, we just don't have any idea. Until that point, this is just kind of a dream car for the future for people who like Volvos.
Amazing how these manufacturers stretch it out. Like, there's a tease, there's an unveil, then there's like the price unveil and the date unveil. It's just, it goes on and on.
Goes on and on. So Uber is now offering 4,000 electric scooters in Paris.
Now, are these the little two-wheel kind that you hop on with the kickoff scooter?
No, these are much more like a moped. So for people who have the Uber app in Paris, they have partnered with CityScoot to offer this new ride-sharing service for 29 cents per minute.
Okay. That sounds
the faster you go, the cheaper it is. The scooters can travel up to 45 kilometers an hour or 28 miles an hour, and they can be operated with anyone with a valid driver's license.
And now Bird is reportedly about to unveil a very similar electric moped in Santa Monica. This one was spotted in front of their headquarters. I think this is a really cool move that these companies are doing because, as we mentioned before, the common scooter that we're used to talking about is the little two-wheel one that, with the platform that you kick off on. But being able to sit on a scooter and like a moped and drive around town is much more comfortable for a lot of people.
There's a lot of really good aspects about this. First one, I think, is optics. Everyone hates electric stand-on scooters. And it's mostly Bird's fault because they dumped them onto, and I've talked about this before, but they dumped them onto Santa Monica and San Francisco streets. They didn't even have a proper business license, and they had no rules. And so people were just riding them on sidewalks, and it's a mess. It's a real mess. And people don't like them. They don't like the look of them. Anyone riding a ride-on scooter, there's a prejudice towards them. So by having a scooter that you're sitting on, all of a sudden, you're just someone on a moped. Right. Nobody is thinking about you as being, they're not going to be left in the same places that these scooters are that you can just pick up.
But here's my question. Bird said that these mopeds will be able to drive in the bike lane because they'll be considered an electric bike, but yet they don't have pedals.
Right. They're technically considered, according to Bird, a Class 2 electric bicycle. They can travel up to 20 miles an hour, so less powerful than the ones that Uber are coming out with. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how well this is going to go over. It definitely seems like the electric mobility market has turned to mopeds now, that the stand-on scooter, everyone and their brother is making an electric stand-on scooter. So yeah, we'll have to see how it goes and how well it fits into society.
All right, as we near the Tesla pickup truck delivery date, which is going to be in November, we're getting more and more excited. Elon has said the Cybertruck doesn't look anything like the images I've seen around the internet. He said it's closer to an armored personnel carrier of the future. And so that has led Stephen Mason, who is a designer, to put out this picture, which he thinks could be a possible idea for what the Tesla pickup truck will look like.
I don't know if that picture is correct. Because, I don't know, to me, that doesn't look like an armored personnel carrier. I think that it is one of the closest images that we've seen of the pickup truck to the teaser image that we saw at the Model Y unveiling, actually, that no one saw at the Model Y unveiling, of this pickup truck. I don't know. I mean, is that going to work? Is that kind of front going to work? I have no idea. I don't know, and I don't know if it's going to look like that.
Yeah, I mean, during our chat today with our Patreons, during our live stream, someone did remind us that Elon said that the pickup truck should be able to carry 6 people. And so that means it either has to have a giant cab or maybe he was thinking that everyone's going to sit in the bed of the pickup truck. I mean, I don't know. It's just, I'm so excited as we get closer and closer to seeing like, what is it, just super crazy and no one's going to think it has anything to do with a pickup truck? Or is it going to be crazy on the side of like science fiction where we're like, oh my God, that's the future of pickup trucks?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. The teaser image that they chose, as frustrating as it is, was a great teaser because you have no idea, is it the front, is it the back, is it the roof, is it the grill, is it the side? We have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
We don't know what it looks like, and that's a great teaser. It's not like it's a car. Okay, that looks like a car. This is something where we're just like, I don't know, it could look like a warthog from Halo. It could look like some other crazy contraption. We have no idea.
Yeah, we're a month away. All right, it's time for our video contributor story of the week. And if you are interested in sending us one, please do contact us at zach@nowyouknowchannel.com and keep your video contributor story to 2 minutes or less. Don't put any music in there. Have some great audio and some great visuals. Well, just like Patrick's doing here.
The Bełchatów power plant in Poland is the largest and dirtiest thermal power plant in Europe. So now, when charging here in Poland, it must be just as much burden on the nature driving electric as driving a combustion engine car, right? 20% of the electric power in Poland is coming from this power plant, so it's not so easy to just turn it off. Next to the power plant there is a huge mine with lignite that has been mined here since the opening in the 60s. It's the largest hole in the world made by man. All this enormous quantity of lignite has been burned up. For what? This was the solution during the 60s to the Polish energy needs, a decision made during a time of a East-West divided Europe. And now the need for energy is greater than ever for a country with a population of 38 million people. But the energy source will not last forever. 2038, the lignite is forecasted to run out. What to do with all this destroyed land? Could it not be used for a future installation of a huge solar farm and battery storage to secure the future needs of energy for Poland? The demand from the society of energy is huge and it's growing all the time. And this is not the only coal power plant in Poland. But wait, go back a little bit. Did I not see a solar panel on that house? Yes, it is. But isn't all the electricity in Poland coming from coal? No, you can see on a regular basis both windmills and solar installations in many places when traveling through the country. And there is also hydro in the Tatra mountains in the south. 25% of the electric energy production in Poland is actually renewable. So this argument that my electric car also is polluting the environment since it runs on coal is only partly true. Because the electric motor is using the energy very efficient, even if the power comes from coal, especially comparing with a combustion engine car. And my car is definitely ready for the renewable future that the electric industry is facing worldwide.
Yeah, that was another fantastic report from our buddy Patrick at My Electric Earth YouTube channel. You really should go check it out because he takes his job seriously. Mm-hmm. He does a fantastic job of telling stories. So thank you so much, Patrick.
All right, it is time now for the Patreon bonus stories. We have so many stories every week that we can't tell them all to you in this hour-long program. So we had to make another pretty much hour-long program to get through all of the stories. If you're interested, you can head over to patreon.com, support us for as little as $1 a month. And what that will get you is all of the Patreon bonus stories. We do 4 Patreon bonus stories a month. So you're actually just paying 25 cents per Patreon bonus story. And each Patreon bonus stories have multiple stories in them. So it's a really, really good deal. I really want you to go check it out.
And you know what we're covering in this week's Patreon bonus story?
Ooh, should we tell them?
The plaid prototype.
Ooh, all right.
All right, let's go do it. All right, we're back from our Patreon bonus stories, and it's time for our Patreon shout-outs. Who do we got, Jess?
We have Adam Pedley,
David Chacon,
Linda E. Dewey, MD,
Hanno Offen,
David Christensen,
Alan Hanatu,
Frederick Oliver,
Rockvaldis Bartusevicus,
Alvin Thompson,
and Ernesto Ramos.
Thank you so much for supporting this channel. We could not do it without you.
And we're up to about mid-July, so if you signed up around then and you're like, where's my shout-out? It's coming soon. All right, it's time for Elon's tweets of the week, and we've got Deep Rain.
Is this that song by that guy, Chocolate Rain?
No, this is Elon's new neural net for windshield wipers. Check this out. So Yogi said, need to adjust sensitivity of wipers. Very late response to the rain when left in auto mode. Software upgrades keep messing up wipers and low high beam light sensitivity. Please take a look into it. Not that it's very, very important. Just FIO to look into it. Thanks. Elon said, Deep Rain trademark, neural net coming soon. We're not trademarking any other autopilot neural nets, just this one, because rain is deep. And then he went on to say, it's actually called Deep Rain as sort of a joke at Tesla, taking a surprising amount of deep learning to know when and how fast to move the wipers. So, I mean, I've had experience with this. I'm not super pleased usually with the auto sensing on the wipers. How about you?
It's gotten better.
Okay.
Over time, with my updates, it seems to have improved. I hardly ever need to take it off of auto and move it onto any other setting.
But let's just remind people, it's using the cameras, so it somehow sees the rain, and then it's supposed to react to it. Now, with deep learning, maybe is it like geographically influenced? Because I know that our rain here in New England is different than, say, California rain.
Yeah, we have more misty rain
More
sometimes.
powdery
There's all
rain.
sorts of different types of rain.
So, I mean, it's learning. Tesla owner Silicon Valley says, any updates on AutoPark?
And Elon tweeted back, he said, we are working on a simple initial version of AutoPark. We'll be safe, but sometimes park in silly places that aren't actually parking spaces. Now, I just want to point out, you can do that now, right? As long as you're within the circle around the car,
Yeah.
and you're sending it to somewhere that'll be within the circle, you can just kind of send your car to a space. It won't necessarily park in a space nicely, but
Sure.
it'll put itself in park.
I love that he's like open about it. Like, it's not going to be perfect. Like, what other CEO? Like, if this is a German car company, they'd be like, it will be perfect. It will perfectly park.
I mean, any other CEO really would be like, this is going to be a game changer in parking dynamics. No longer will anyone have to park their car, dudes. This is going to be amazing. Like, he's just like, yeah, it's going to be kind of silly, you know? I like that about him. I like that he doesn't take himself too seriously.
Well, here's another one. We'll start rendering traffic cones in the display soon.
Now, let's just talk about this for a second.
Yeah.
You have it's all cameras.
Yep.
And it can see things.
Yep.
And cameras can, with neural nets and stuff, learn what certain objects are.
Yeah.
So I have an idea. Dog alert function.
Ooh, it's dark alert.
Because when I'm driving around, especially with my girlfriend, if we see a dog, you got to point out the dog. Like, I see a doggo coming up. Have the car.
Dog alert. Dog alert. Dog spotted at 1 o'clock.
You know, that would be.
That's what you want, huh?
I think that would be really fun as a feature that you could turn on and then immediately shut off and be like, well, that was fun, wasn't it?
Okay.
I think having some kind of a, you know, it could do the same thing with Teslas. Like, oh, it spotted a Tesla.
How about with clowns?
Exactly.
Okay,
That
cool.
would be actually a better safety feature.
All right, it's time for community mail time.
Community mail time.
So our buddy Ross brought up a really interesting point, which is that up until now in history, you can't study the health effects of owning an ICE car because we all own an ICE car. So you can't be like, oh, well, you know, who are you going to study? Like, it would be very hard to do. But now that we have pockets of people who own EVs, you could study, do people who own EVs, are they healthier than people who have to like pour gas into their car every week and touch gasoline and smell gasoline? So if there's someone out there in the, you know, health study community, this could be a really cool thing to study. Here is Chris's new Model 3. Congratulations. Garen sent us this video of his Tesla being smart summoned, and so you can see Garen there must be summoning his car. And then there's this guy over here in the yellow shirt who is like, what?
This is a very common reaction. You just have people who don't stop looking at the car. They just They don't know what to do, so they just keep looking at it as if it was like some bizarre animal that just stumbled out of the forest.
It is bizarre. I mean,
it's super bizarre.
It's never happened in history.
I know. And the cool thing is, keep in mind, when you're done summoning it, it has the dash cam footage. So as soon as you get in the car, just tap that little camera button if you have your thumbstick in, which you should have. And then you can actually capture it, analyze it for later, because that's very fun to do.
Here's our friend Peter's R2T3. It's a really cool car that if you look at it just in proportion to the trees up there in Northern California, just beautiful. But then that juxtaposition between, a Star Wars car and the trees is really cool.
I mean, this is, you're not getting the Ewok kind of Endor sort of feeling.
I missed that. Yeah. Sorry.
Hello. Duh.
And this is Max's new Model 3. He says, hey guys, big fan of your show and more than happy to help support the channel. My wife and I just got our first Model 3 late August, and every day we look at it and drive it, and we know for a fact it was the best decision we have ever made. Keep up the great work.
Nice.
Wow, the best decision they ever made.
Okay.
That's awesome. So now it's time for on-air question of the week.
We have 2 this week.
Yeah, Jonathan says, does paying for YouTube Premium make it so your channel makes less ad revenue? And that's a great question because those of you who know about YouTube Premium, you pay a monthly fee, you don't get the ads. And so he's probably concerned that if we don't have ads, we're not getting enough money. But actually, if you're a premium user, YouTube tracks that and we actually get paid a fraction of your monthly fee. So we do get paid the same.
And it's based off watch time. And luckily, these episodes are like an hour long. So you don't have to worry about it. Another cool thing about Premium, which is that you can download stuff on your phone to watch if you're like on an airplane or something like that. So like if you are way behind on Tesla Time News, it's okay. It's understandable. You can download all of it to your phone, and that way you're not using either, data out in the world, so you're not, paying for extra data. You can do it on your Wi-Fi. And if you're going for like a hike in the woods where there's no cell service, or you're going on a plane or a bus or a train or whatever, you can do it there.
And Arlene says, given the lag time between the announcement of Model Y and the start of delivery, do you think there will be improvements in some of its features, especially since more than 2 years will have elapsed?
I don't think that there's going to be much drivetrain improvement. A lot of people are thinking that there's going to be some kind of magical batteries or some kind of magical motors put into the Model Y that the Model 3 won't have. I think that the Model Y is going to have whatever the Model 3 has because, again, the Model Y is basically just a Model 3 that's jacked up 7 inches on the inside. There's hardly any difference in terms of drivetrain, and that is by design. It is to make the Model Y really easy to produce. It's something that the Tesla has painstakingly gone through to try and get the Model 3 production up and running. So if you make a very similar car, you're going to run into a lot fewer problems.
Right. Now there might be less wiring, for instance, but that, again, wouldn't be really something that you would probably notice an improvement over.
Right. I think that the only improvements that we might see would be interior changes, and they would probably be pretty minor.
Right. So our poll question this week was, how often do you supercharge? And the most popular answer seemed to be once or twice a month. That's kind of what we expected.
Yeah.
At least what I expected.
Right. The second most popular, and we're taking just Tesla owners here. The second most popular was once or twice a year, which makes sense. You usually do a road trip once or twice a year, like a big one.
Right.
And there are 18 people who own a Tesla but have never supercharged. Now, I have a mission for you. 18 people who have never supercharged in a Tesla.
Maybe they just got it.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Go do it. Plan a trip where you need to go 1 or 2 superchargers away. I know that that's far. I know that that's a day's trip.
Right. Make a day trip of it.
Make a day trip of it. Yeah. Pack a picnic basket for your significant other.
And plan what you want to watch at the superchargers in your car.
This is important.
And film a supercharger review when you're there.
If you want to. But again, the picnic. It's a really good idea. It's getting cold though. So maybe it's, maybe it's a nice dinner somewhere in a city that's far away.
Sure. All right, it's time for good news, bad news. What would you like first, Jess?
I would like some good news.
Okay, here's some good news. Check this out. This is the Hyundai Nexo. And see that little bubble there behind the car? Mm-hmm. Well, in that bubble is Olympic.
Oh my God, it's hooked up to the tailpipe.
Yeah, calm down.
What do we do?
Well, calm down because it's a Hyundai Nexo, which is a hydrogen cell car. So what comes out of the tailpipe of a hydrogen cell car?
Is water and oxygen.
Right.
Okay.
And so Olympic swimmer and brand ambassador Mireia Belmonte, she is, jogging in the back there, and she's perfectly fine because it's just hydrogen.
Harmless things.
Right.
Yeah, it's fair
Harmless
enough.
things.
It's very telling that they have her in a bubble. Can we just be frank here for a second?
Why?
Because they are very much bringing in the scope of when they're talking about hydrogen fuel cells. They're just looking at the tailpipe.
Right.
Right?
Oh yeah, let's talk about how do you make this hydrogen, because a lot of people are like, it's a clean fuel. Well, it could be,
but where do you get the fuel? This
Right.
is like the supermarket argument of like, where do you get the tomatoes, Jimmy? From the supermarket, right? No, Jimmy, you don't.
Let's go straight to Wikipedia for this, right? I mean, methane reacts with steam under high pressure, and that you add a catalyst to it, and you produce hydrogen. Now, you also get off of that reaction carbon monoxide, and you get carbon dioxide. So it's not a clean thing to make. Plus, you had to create that high pressure, so you needed energy to put into the equation.
Right. You also have to steam reform it, which means that you need to bring up the temperature of everything. So what you have to do is put a lot of energy to make this fuel from natural gas.
Right, and that's where they get the methane to start with. So, and why do they love to use natural gas? It's cheap right now. The oil companies have tons of it. They don't know what to do with it. In fact, many cases they have to just give it away because they don't,
Or they
can't-
just burn it,
Right.
or they let it leak out of
So
their pipelines.
that's why so many companies are in favor of hydrogen fuel cells right now, because they're like, oh, it's clean.
a tree. hang on. A tree just fell down outside.
Yeah.
It just cut the power. There was a slight flicker. We are now on backup power. I'm almost certain.
Is that what it is?
I am almost certain
gonna
that that's
check
what
my
just
app.
happened. We're still rolling. Did you get the flicker?
It says there's an orange line around it.
Oh my
right
God,
now.
we're
It
on
says-
backup.
It says that we are on backup power right now. I don't know if you can see that, but we are doing Tesla Time News on backup power right now. Wow. We got to finish the show because we have 79% on the power wall. Wow. Well, let's go finish up the show, and we'll go check and see what's going on with the power system.
Okay.
What? What the? Holy crap. For people who may not believe me.
Yeah, the grid is offline. We're currently disconnected from the grid. Camera didn't stop rolling. Camera isn't battery powered. It's hooked up to the grid.
Yeah. Everything in here is hooked up to the grid.
Well, not anymore.
Right.
Hooked up to the battery power. Okay.
This is a Tesla powered show right now.
Thank you,
Wow.
Tesla.
Wow.
Wow. All right. Well,
So do you want the bad news?
yeah. What's the bad news?
So the bad news is that Hyundai Construction Equipment settled with the U.S. EPA and Justice Department to pay a $47 million fine because they allegedly violated the U.S. emission standards on heavy construction equipment.
Wait a minute. What?
Okay, so the company pre-purchased engines between 2012 and 2015 that met outdated emission standards, and then illegally imported, marketed, and sold heavy construction equipment with these engines installed in violation of the Clean Air Act. So while Hyundai is on one side selling their cars talking about, fuel cells, really clean, they're selling under the construction equipment side, selling trucks that are not clean. And, $47 million fine. To those of you out there who are like, $47 million?
Let me just show you what kind of a fine this is. This is it. Oh, don't do that. Don't stop it. Don't do that. That's nothing. Okay, that is nothing. All right, let's time for my favorite part of the show, which is the Supercharger reviews. This is where viewers of the show get to go out with their smartphones and their cameras and do reviews of Superchargers. They get to show everything that's around the Supercharger, and then they give it a rating 0 to 10. Let's see what we got this week.
Hello, Zach and Jesse. Today we're here in beautiful, sunny Boulder, Colorado. I'm here today at Avery Brewing Company, where we have some destination chargers to review. There's about 5. They're 10 kilowatt systems, which is pretty dang fast, and it's all free. Just fantastic. To my left also, there's 2 what are they called? 1772 chargers. So if you have any other electric car, free charging. Mr. Avery, he's a Tesla owner himself and a big supporter of sustainable energy. So we hope that if anyone's in Boulder, Colorado, they might come by Avery Brewing Company and check it out. It's great food, great beer, absolutely great beer. And they even today have a little misted down patio to keep you nice and cool. And if you bring your dog, there's a beautiful, really actually fantastic dog park where you can go on a walk, and all the bags and trash cans, they're all there. So you don't have to worry too much. I would rate this, I don't know, I think it's 10 out of 10. I think it's pretty great. Now you know.
Hi Jesse. Hi Zach. It's Leia. And with our parents reporting from the South Shore of Montreal. We are at the Brostar Superchargers on the corner of the Highway 10 and Turin. 12 chargers are located here in a free underground parking.
On the good side, in winter, the chargers are free from snow, and in summer, no sun. Also, there's 5 destination chargers in the same parking lot, available for hotel clients.
Upstairs, we are in an open shopping mall with plenty of restaurants and boutiques. There's a Van Hood Cafe, a Jack's Saloon, an Amir, a sushi bar, and a little bit further, there's a Tim Horton and a McDonald's. My mother would rate it 10 for the boutiques, but my dad says it's a good 8.
We greatly appreciate the work you do to save our planet. Keep it up. Merci beaucoup. We will be watching from Canada. Ding!
It's the Brush Colorado Supercharger. There's 8 stalls, a Wendy's across the street. And a Pizza Hut. There's in the Shell Brush Travel Center. There's also a Subway inside.
Alright, Cadrona, and we have 2 destination Tesla chargers here. And next door we have the Cadrona Hotel, which have got a restaurant and pub, and there's a hotel there if you want to stay. Really cool place. There's old school here and lots of souvenirs and all to check out. I would give this a 8 out of 10 destination charger review. Now you know.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for doing that. It's so nice. We have a website with a map, and you can see all of the Supercharger reviews on there, and you can upload your own Supercharger review to the map, so that way people planning their road trips can actually see with your opinions about the Supercharger right there. It's awesome.
All right, what do we got for new Superchargers this week?
We got a lot. Number 15 in Taiwan is the 6-stall urban Supercharger in Taipei at the Xingdang district in Taiwan.
We got the 16-stall in Duven, Netherlands.
We have the 12-stall 150 kilowatt in Lithonia, Georgia.
We got 479 in Europe, the 2-stall in Huitinen, Finland.
The 12-stall 150 kilowatt in Portland, Maine.
The 8-stall 150 kilowatt in Medway, Maine.
Nice. The 8-stall 150 kilowatt in Toms River, New Jersey.
The 12-stall urban in Irvine, Michelson Drive, California.
The 8-stall 150 kilowatt in Giddings, Texas.
And number 9 in Maine, number 712 in the USA, and number 1656 in the world is the 4-stall 150 kilowatt in Jackman, Maine.
Wow, so many in Maine.
3 in Maine.
Just this week.
If you look at the construction map, if you look along the northern border of the United States with Canada, right above the border there in Canada is going in just a whole line of superchargers.
Trans-Canadian Tesla roadway.
Very exciting. All right, it's time for our Patreon giveaway, and this week we are giving away a EcoWare backpack. So let's see who's the lucky winner of that. To get your name into this fun barrel of names, you've got to be a Patreon member. And let's see which Patreon is going to win the backpack.
The winner is Philip Broussard.
Congratulations, Philip. You're going to win a backpack of your choice. And remember that we're designed with solar energy, and now we're backed up by Tesla energy. Completely carbon offset. You buy something like a tea, and we plant a tree. All right, so you made it to the end of the show. We're on backup power right now. I just want to see how much power we've used. We were at 79% a few minutes ago. And
let's see.
Now we're on still 79%.
79%. We're using 6 kilowatts right now.
But we're charging 2 cars. So that's probably...
We should probably go unplug the cars.
We probably should.
We need to definitely go fix the house.
Yeah.
Because it seems to have been struck by a tree.
Yes.
That was a loud noise.
Yes. I
don't know if we get the instant replay.
I think it was
on
just
that.
a branch. but enough. I think that it probably took our power out. Yeah.
So that's not good. But
that's
hey,
not good.
Look, the lights are still on.
What's funny is that I buried the line from the house to the tree to the pole there. So I don't know what just happened. It's not gonna be fun.
That's
Whatever
not going to be fun. It's dark. I think it was raining earlier.
Yeah.
It's going to be wet. It's not going to be
This
fun.
teaches us not to put off recording the show till so late at night. It's like 10 o'clock at night right now. You know,
It's true.
We probably should have done it in the daylight.
Yeah.
But
So time to go unplug the cars.
yep.
And well, hopefully
Hopefully we'll have power by the morning.
otherwise the Brett and Bowie.
Well, actually, I mean, we probably have enough power in the power wall. We got 4 power walls.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's
So-
go unplug the cars.
All right.
Thank you to our Patreons who make this show possible. We really, really could not do it without you. We're so happy that we got through the Patreon bonus story before we lost power, and we're super worried about it. I don't know if you've noticed how the show changed and how we were no longer in it because.
Yeah. And don't forget to watch on Friday. We're going to have an in-depth where we cover the Q3 Tesla earnings report.
Yes.
So we'll see you then. Now you know.